Hi, I'm Markette Sheppard, author of Ninja Nate, joining you from Murano, Italy, just across the way from Venice, where I've been working on a storytelling mission. And you are listening to So Booking Cool.
So fucking cool.
There's so motherfucking cool to listen to So Booking Cool.
Welcome to So Booking Cool, it's Joel B. Today's guest is a marketing executive, Emmy-winning TV host, best-selling author, and creator of the top-rated Alphabet in a Flash. Her new and third picture book is the heartfelt Ninja Nate, illustrated by Robert Paul Jr. Back with us today is Markette Sheppard.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on, and congratulations on all that you're doing. How does it feel to be a 3-time author?
I can't believe it. You know, when I came out with my first book, What is Light, it was truly something that I thought, you know what, I'm going to come out with this book. It's truly from the heart, and and that's it. And when What is Light came out, the day it came out, my publisher offered me another book deal, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And now with Ninja Nate, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm a legit children's book author. This is part of my identity now.
Absolutely it is. And with it being 3 books, has your writing process changed at all?
Interesting. I think with Ninja Nate, I intentionally went into writing the story trying to challenge myself as a writer. It was very natural and easy for me to write lyrical texts with What is Light and My Rainy Day Rocket Ship, my second book. Those are rhyming stories. They're picture books. They're meant to be stories that kids can read at bedtime. They're supposed to be soothing. With Ninja Nate, when I started out, I knew I wanted to write a ninja story. I knew I wanted it to be an adventure, and I wanted to have a main character who had a strong personality and a strong presence. But I didn't know what I was going to write. And so I pushed myself to think beyond my comfort zone, take things as far as I could creatively, but also continue to entertain and inspire children, because that's at the heart of everything that I do.
Absolutely. And that shows in your work. It definitely does. And your son is your muse, right?
He really is. He's 9 years old. He's about to be 10. And I noticed that my son loves martial arts. He actually came to me and my husband as a baby. I mean, not even kindergarten. And he was like, I want to take Kung Fu. And I thought to myself, where did this kid come from? Like I don't do martial arts. My husband doesn't do martial arts. And really true to what I have just experienced as a mother, kids really are who they are. They're their own little people with their own interests. And as much as parents and grown-ups like to tell children who they are and what we think they should be, they have their own personalities with their likes and dislikes. And my son just happens to love martial arts. I wanted to tell a story that also exuded empathy and understanding, and told the story of somebody who was different than me and who most people interact with on a day-to-day basis. And so while my son inspired Ninja Nate, and he is my muse, Ninja Nate has taken on a life and a story of his own beyond my household, beyond my child. And I truly tried to create this character as his own little person, just like kids are their own little people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So did your son, and what's his name, by the way?
Wesley.
Wesley. Oh, nice name. Yes. Is Wesley like your editor in some way? Well, your other editor, does he give you any feedback?
You know what? He does. It's so funny because Wesley, I will show him the finished product and he'll
Mhm.
be like, oh, you should have changed that. Like there's a line in My Rainy Day Rocket Ship where he said, you actually should have said underwear because it would have been funny, mommy, And I was like, you know what? You're right. Underwear would have been funny. And you know what? It would have fit perfectly in that. And I tell him, so when you grow up, you can write your own stories, you can illustrate your own stories, but this is mommy's book. So it's mommy's words. You know what I mean? So I'm my own person too. Um, for Ninja Nate, I actually read Wesley the story way before the book came out. And Ninja Nate was actually a lot longer. I'm telling the story of a little boy who's wearing his ninja costume all summer to hide an insecurity. And at the end of the summer, he has to make a decision. Does he go to school and try to assume his alter ego, Ninja Nate? Or does he go to school as his true self, who is Nathaniel Brown, who suffered an accident at the end of the school year, last school year, and his life and his body is forever changed? And does he want to just accept that and show up to school the next year as Nathaniel Brown with a different, I should say, an altered body? Or does he want to be his alter ego?
Right. Yeah, that's powerful because even reading up on it, people will see that there's a disability element to it. And it's like, wow. So how do you approach a serious and an important topic like that within children's books?
Yeah, I mean, it was something where we actually hired a sensitivity reader, excuse me. We hired a sensitivity reader to read the book and make sure that we were being authentic. And when I say we, I'm
Mhm.
the writer, but I also have an amazing illustrator. Shout out to Robert Paul Jr., who is from Houston. And when he read the text to Ninja Nate as an illustrator, he wanted to be a part of this book because when he was a high school football player in Texas, he suffered a debilitating injury. And he told me this story when we met, that he couldn't walk for part of his high school career because his leg was crushed in a football accident. And in the story that I wrote of Ninja Nate, years before I met Robert Paul Jr., the illustrator, um, I write about little Ninja Nate suffering a leg injury. Now, I've never suffered a debilitating leg injury, and no one in my household has either. But I was inspired to write that part of the story because I was reading an article in the New York Times about a group of cousins in the Middle East who were playing soccer one day and somebody stepped on a landmine. It exploded, and every single child member of that family lost an arm or a leg. And then the story goes on to follow a 12-year-old boy who wakes up in the hospital after losing his leg, forgot that he lost his leg because in his dream, he still had two legs. So he hopped out of bed, woke up, his mind wasn't on what happened to him, and he fell out of the bed onto the hospital floor and hit reality. And so there's a line in the Ninja Nate story where that happens to my little Nathaniel Brown. He has this whimsical dream where he's a ninja and he's fighting off this army, and he gets all of the soldiers down to their knees and conquers them. And the last battle is with the general. And right before he wins, he wakes up and hops out of bed and falls on the floor. Because in his dream, he never had the accident that happened in real life.
Marquette, would you say that dreams and imagination are the same, or how are they different?
Well, that's interesting. Dreams and imagination. Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, I guess you could say that I'm a dreamer. I've always looked at the world around me and I've always thought about what could be, you know, where I guess imagination is you're kind of sitting in class or you're sitting at work if you're an adult or somewhere, and you're just kind of drifting off. You know what I mean? Trying to get your mind off of, how much time left before the bell rings or how much time left before I can clock out. So I guess imagination is what you do to escape your reality, but dreams is what you do when you want to think of where you want to go, what you want to do, what you want to be, and then you you start doing the work in real life to get there. I hope I'm answering your question.
You definitely are. It's such a great way to think about it. Yeah.
And what inspired you, may I ask, to ask me that question, the difference between dreams and reality?
Yeah. Journalism, journalist on journalist.
I know.
Yeah, when you were just saying, you were mentioning the word dream. And then, and I think when it comes to children, often there's just, that gets brought up a lot. Children being dreamers and being imaginative. So I just wanted to know if you thought that there was a connection between the two.
I think children are the best at being dreamers and their imagination. And as we grow up, we're taught to face reality, right? Life is not easy. Life is hard. And you're going to learn it sooner or later. For Ninja Nate, he learned it sooner. And, I think to a certain extent, I did too. As I grow, life is getting better for me. It's not getting harder. And I'm so happy about that. And I appreciate everything so much better because, being a kid wasn't easy. You know what I mean? And it wasn't easy for a lot of different reasons. I didn't always fit in at school. I didn't always fit in at home. I always talked a little funny. I was always interested in things that other kids weren't interested in. I was always kind of like the different one, as far as like my siblings and my girl cousins. And that's okay if you're different. Everybody has something that they are uniquely good at and something that makes them stand out. And there's a great line from a book that was made into a movie. I think it was called Wonder.
Oh, yeah.
And the tagline was, "Why fit in when you were born to stand out?" And I love that line because, like me, the author of that book wrote a story about a child who was different, but it wasn't her child. She was inspired by someone who she saw out at an ice cream shop or something very similar, and she thought, what must it be like to be like that child, to be in that family, to be like that mother? And I think that's how you develop empathy, is you put yourself in other people's shoes and see how life is like for them. And we don't do that enough. The world is changing. There's a lot of people who are comfortable being divisive, and they're not challenged to think outside of their comfort zone, think outside of their own self-interest and what it must be like to be like someone over there, or to be like, the very person who you're confused or perplexed by. Just take a moment to think about, what is it like to wake up and be them and go through an entire day as that person. And so hopefully, when you read Ninja Nate, we start out with all the things that he does during the day, things that he loves. He's cooking in the kitchen with his mother, Mary. He has a brother who he looks up to. He goes to the playground. And then we get into what makes him different and unique. But we don't start out with that, because what is the universal thing that ties us all together? We all love to cook in the kitchen with our parents, right? We all love to go out and hang out with our friends. And by the way, we all have our differences, but we don't always have to lead with that, especially when we're trying to create bridges and connections to other people.
Right. So you just talked about the structure of the book. Do you think when an author is sparked by an idea that they should also think about the structure before the book gets acquired by the publisher and you start working on it with the editor and whatnot?
Absolutely. This is your story. Any authors listening who are interested in writing books or writing more in any direction, maybe it's a script for a film or a documentary. Your name is the name that goes on that as the author, as the end of the day. So I would definitely encourage anyone to write from the heart and create a structure and a story and a book or a script that you're proud of. And what I usually do is I don't send my stories in incomplete. I try to get my story as good as I can until I can't perfect it anymore, until I'm tired of it. I can't look at it. I change every word. I think I got it the best it can be on my own. Then I send it to my editor and I say, show me my blind spots. How would you make this better? And I just so happen to have an amazing editor. She's the same person who's been with me through all of my books. She knows me as a writer now. I think we started working together in 2017 or 2016. My first book came out in 2018. So it's been a few years. But a publisher or an editor is just supposed to look at your work, and that's your own personal masterpiece, and give you a different perspective that can help you make it better. So when I was in TV, you mentioned that I did work in TV for many years. It was the same with my scripts. I used to take so long writing my scripts because you can't take a bad script and make a good TV show. You can take a good script and make a bad TV show, but most likely you can take a good script and make a good TV show. But you can't take a bad script and make a good TV show. It's going to be bad. If it's bad at the script level, it's bad all the way through. And that's the same with anything you write. So I was notorious for taking a long time to write my scripts. And in daily TV, everything's really quick, but I would always take my time, because once you have that foundation there, you can build around a strong story and strong words that describe imagery, Mm-hmm. And so, for me, a storyteller is a storyteller no matter what medium. So I took that work ethic from television and script writing to my kids' stories. I try to make it as good as I can. With Ninja Nate, the biggest note I got back was the story was too long for kids. So they actually had me edit it down into a picture book, and it's still a lot of pages, but they were like, you have to make it shorter. You have to make it shorter. And the struggle was, I love every word. Every single word came from me. I'm attached to these words, and they're like, Markette, stop being an artist here. Get these words down. So then there are also business people at the end of the day. But what I'm hoping is that Ninja Nate is so successful that I'm able to re-release it as how they do a director's cut with films and they show you deleted scenes and all of that's why they do that, because the studio made the director cut scenes to fit in the 2-hour movie time. So what I'm hoping is that Ninja Nate is so successful that I can come out with the author's edit and I can share with the world the whole story. The story that is unedited, unabridged version.
You might be onto something very special, very big. Yeah.
I hope so. I have a feeling about Ninja Nate.
Wow. And definitely continue to speak that into existence. I'm so curious too. When you said that you would take long to write your scripts, what is considered taking long?
Okay, so, well, it's interesting. I guess long for some people. I worked on a daily live television show, 1 hour long morning talk show in local TV. And I would do something called packages where you would pre tape a story. It'd be anywhere from a minute and a half to 3 minutes. And then you would air it the next day. So, sometimes I would take a whole 8 hour day to write my script. If I really love the story, I would start writing in the morning, take a break, have a snack, come back to it, take a lunch break, eat lunch, come back to it, change words here and there. Sometimes I would actually go into the audio booth, record the story, listen to it back to see how it sounded to the ear, cuz sometimes when you write, you're writing from your head and it sounds different when it's a spoken word. And then I would go back and perfect it some more. Sometimes I would get stuck in the audio booth where I'm like, I can't get this to sound the way I want it. I want people to hear it. So usually in local TV, you have about a day or two to write a good pre-taped, planned package story. Um, for like newsier morning shows, which I've been on as well, you come in really early in the morning. The earliest I would come in would be 5 o'clock in the morning, and you're live at 9 a.m. and all of your scripts are written. So you have hours in some cases if you're live. If you're pre-taped, you have days.
Do you have a favorite form of writing? Script writing, children's book writing, any other types of writing that you do?
Oh, wow. Well, I feel like there's a season for everything. For a long season, I was really into TV writing. And then after I became a mom, I just began reading so many children's books. And I think I shared this with you the last time I was on your show. I would read books to my son and I would always edit the ending, or I would read a part of a story and I would revise it. And I'm like, I don't think I like how that turned out. I'm just going to change the story. And that's when a light bulb went off and I said, huh, if I can write a script, I can write a children's book. And I also just wanted to write characters who were authentic to my world and the multicultural world that we live in. And so I just feel like it was a calling. Like I never ever said, oh, I want to grow up and be a children's book author. But when I started reading books and became a mom, I felt called to do this work. And I'm still on this journey. So I don't know what destiny has for me next, but I definitely feel like right now it's all about writing for children, multicultural audiences, and now differently abled audiences, all in an effort to create understanding and empathy and truly inspire children and people to get to know each other. How many people do you know who are completely different than you? Or is your social circle just a mirror of you and your culture and your background and your people? Like most people just default to what they know. And I'm saying it's a beautiful world out there. There's a bunch of beautiful people, all different shapes, colors, and sizes. And we need to get to know each other. And maybe a good start is just picking up a really good children's book and reading it.
For people who come across your books, as we mentioned, you've written three: What is Light, Rainy Day Rocket Ship, and now Ninja Nate. For new readers of yours, would you recommend that they read your books in order of their releases, or it doesn't really matter?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I would say read the books. It would be really fun to read the books in order of their release. What is Light has a really special place in my heart because I wrote it when I was in love as a mom. I had this brand new little yummy, juicy little round cheeked baby, and I was so in love with him. I wanted to write a love letter to him and all children about the light that I saw inside of him and all innocent children. Like children are just born to me whole and innocent, right? It's as you grow up and you get the bumps and bruises of life that sometimes your light is dimmed. And I wanted to tell children from the very beginning, you have a light inside of you. Shine your light. Nobody can take that away from you. And so what is light is that true, I think, pure expression of my love for people and children and humanity. So that is a really good place to start. And depending on how old your children are or your interest in children's books, My Rainy Day Rocket Ship is a little bit of an adventure. Children are restless, and I could see this in my own son, especially being an only child in the house. I am constantly setting up play dates, and I am forced to be a hyper social person so that my son can go out and play with people. And then I realized my message to him was, especially during the pandemic when everything was shut down, we can make our own fun. Your next adventure is just a thought away. And that's really where imagination comes in, and there's a line in My Rainy Day Rocket Ship, a cardboard box full of socks, and it's like, you can make a toy out of everything, but how many of us have opened presents with a kid or as a kid, and they play more with the cardboard box than they do with the $40 gift that you just bought them. You know what I mean? And so My Rainy Day Rocket Ship was just a nod to creativity and having your own fun and leaning into your imagination. And then once you have a light inside of you, and you have sparked the creative play that you innately have inside of yourself, the next logical read to me is Ninja Nate, where it's like, okay, this is all about empathy. Okay, you take that light, you shine it, and then you shine it on others, and you smile upon what makes you different and unique.
So are books a good way for people to get inside the author's head?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. There's a saying, out of the mouth comes the abundance of the heart, right? Well, it's the same with the pen, or I guess the keyboard now. I'm a traditional writer in that I like to write all of my stories handwritten. I think it's something very powerful about handwriting something down. So all of my stories start out with me writing in a notebook. And then once I write it down, then I type it into the laptop. But it's all from my mind. You know what I mean? I think you could learn a lot about somebody by reading their writings, their letters, their notes, or things like that. So with Ninja Nate, I pushed myself a little. I tried to write a story where I really wasn't concerned about what other people may think of me and my words. So there's a part of the story where Ninja Nate is dreaming, and he's dreaming of a place called Potato Chip Dip Mountain. And when I wrote it, at first I thought to myself, I'm not going to write that. What are people going to think? It's so silly. But then I said, you know what? It may be silly, it may be different and quirky, but that is a part of me. That's a part of my personality. So, doggone it, Ninja Nate is going to Potato Chip Dip Mountain because I love potato chips. Everyone loves potato chips. Some people even dream about potato chips and dip. And that's just who I am. And I kind of feel like I'm making myself a little vulnerable. Like, could I have thought of something cooler? Something that's just like a little more cool. That's the only thing I can think of. And I just said, no, this is actually something that came out of me. It's mine. And you are getting a window into my mind with this story and every story that I write. And so I hope people do like potato chip dip mountain. I'm a little obsessed with chips. I don't know anyone who doesn't like them. So it's a part of that story too.
And it's very intriguing. Like, I want to go there.
Who doesn't want to go to a mountain made of potato chip dip?
Wow, Markette.
In a kung fu story, you know, like if The Last Dragon is a classic, a cult classic, then this can be one too.
Absolutely, it can. So you're touching on something important too. So for authors, which is more important, or not which is more important, but does it start with the author having the idea or the confidence to share that idea?
Ooh, well, you know what? That's interesting. So one, you can have a million ideas, right? But if you don't pursue it, then it won't turn into anything. So I think the idea first is a good start, but you do have to have the confidence to pursue it and believe in your own ideas. And I just want to say a word on confidence.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty mild-mannered person, and I'm not one of those upfront, in-your-face people, and so I'm not aggressive at all. But a lot of people mistake aggression and being aggressive with confidence. And I don't see it that way. You can have a quiet confidence. So when I wrote my first book and my second and my third, and I actually have many, many more writings that maybe will turn into books, I'm not out there pushing my stories on my editors. I'm not, a lot of people, you're knocking on doors and don't stop. And I'm not giving a hard sales pitch. I'm quietly confident in knowing that what I wrote is a piece of art. My words and creative writing are artistic expressions. And I always thought to myself, it's not a matter of if I will get my books published, but when. And so I kind of send my books to my editor and say, what do you think? And sometimes she gets back to me quickly. Sometimes it takes her a couple of weeks or a month, but I'm not selling her on any of my books. I'm not saying, well, you must publish this and here's why, or please publish this, or can we get on the phone and talk about this? I'm just kind of like, this is what I wrote. Do you like it? Okay. No? All right. That's cool. Yes? Oh, wonderful. So I'll give you an example. I wrote a ABC book for my editor, and she got back to me quickly with a no. Usually she doesn't get back to me so fast, but she got back to me the next day with a no. And the reason being was because she said, there are too many ABC books on the market. And I looked at the story and I thought to myself, this is good. I didn't go back to her and say, this is good. Why won't you publish it? Please give it a second thought. To me, that's aggressive. That's not confidence. So I said, this is really good. And okay, I'm going to take your note. There's too many ABC books on the market, but there's not a lot of multicultural ABC flashcards on the market. And so I decided to self-publish a set of ABC flashcards. I had no experience in self-publishing. I don't know anything about hiring illustrators or hiring a printer, all of the things that a publisher does. That's the business of a publisher. But I said, I'm going to take this story and maybe not make it into a book. Maybe her no came with some good advice. The market is oversaturated. So I took about 6 months. I invested my own money in hiring an illustrator, a graphic designer, and a printer. And I made my ABC book into a set of flashcards where it was a rhyming story, and each letter kind of had a story that rhymed and led to the next letter. I put those on Etsy as a self-publisher 3 years ago. I started in 2020. those ABC flashcards have sold around the world. I have made more money on those ABC flashcards than any of my books by just having confidence, like you said, and believing in myself. But it wasn't something where I was beating down doors and you know what I'm saying? Because I think we get that message a little bit too much in society, especially as a woman of color and a Black woman, like, break that glass ceiling, beat down those doors, don't take no for an answer. All of that is fine and well, and it's good advice. It's also exhausting for a Black woman, so sometimes I think you can go with the flow as well and know that if not this, then something else. If not yes right now, then yes later. And to me, that's how I walk in confidence. That's how I stand in my own power, you know? And so a book rejection for me, it wasn't, I'm not going to tell you the story where I got rejected 147 times. And on the 148th time, I got a yes. I got rejected once, I pivoted, and now I'm a self-published, flashcard maker. And the flashcards to me have just been a beautiful, wonderful delight and a business adventure. I've learned so much about business, but that's all from confidence and taking my idea and I guess you could say working it or pivoting or what have you. So I hope that answers your question.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I asked that question. Oh, wow, how inspiring is that? That is so beautiful. That is so inspiring. Wow. There's a lot of us, not even just in the book world, can learn from that, learn from you and that experience. So these are flashcards that you have, right?
Yeah, so I mean, check them out. It's so funny. Check them out on I didn't even have a business for the flashcards, but they started selling right away. So if you go to my website, markettesheppard.com, or you go to Etsy and you type in Markette Publishing,
Yeah.
you will find these flashcards. You'll see the ratings. It's like 600 ratings from all over the world. I've shipped them to the Netherlands, Germany, Ireland. Hey, we got folks in Ireland. They want to see some brown babies on their ABC cards. We've got people in the Caribbean who want to see brown babies on the very fundamental lesson of learning the alphabet. States, Black people, white people, Asians. It's just, Latinos. There's brown people in every culture, and I had no idea what a chord was going to be struck with creating these ABC cards. And so that no from my publisher was a blessing because of the success of me pivoting. Now I have shapes flashcards featuring 14 shapes with children of color. I have color flashcards teaching kids their colors with brown illustrations of brown faces and brown kids having fun. And so it's just been like a wonderful delight. And hey, you know what? As my own publisher, as my self-publisher, I'm enjoying all the fruits of that labor. I'm the boss here. No one's getting a cut. I mean, to be a business person about it, I really had to, lean in, and it's been a blessing. So sometimes a no is a blessing, and sometimes, you don't have to have 148 no's to get it right. Maybe you listen to the no on the first time, and God pushes you into the direction or the path that you were meant to be on all along.
Maybe listen to the no the first time. And,
Yeah.
I can't have you here and not ask about Glow Brands.
Absolutely.
Yeah, tell us about Glow Brands.
Yeah, so that is my company that I started. It's interesting. So Markette Publishing is a company I started after the product was successful because I thought, gee, should I make this into a company? I'm just selling flashcards out here. And now I have 3 sets of flashcards, an ABC workbook, an ABC poster. I have ninja headbands. All of this came out of the success of the ABC flashcards. And the first set of flashcards funded all of the other products that I've developed as a result of that. It just kind of took off. So the product came first, and then I like registered a company afterwards. I backed into that business. So the Glow Brands is quite the opposite. I was looking to leave television, as a working mother and as a woman of color. Television is a male-dominated, really tough industry to get into, to break into, a tough industry to stay in, and then a tough industry to rise in as a leader. And I got to a point where I was doing my job and I wanted a growth opportunity, and there were no opportunities to be a leader. So I started the Glow Brands to be the CEO of my destiny. And everything that I had learned from writing scripts, producing shows, winning Emmys along the way, I decided that, hey, I know enough to help other companies create great TV show, talk show style segments for their annual gala or their annual meeting. And so I launched the Glow Brands as an integrated marketing agency where I sold talk show style segments to my first client was the Embassy of Angola. Shout out to the whole nation of Angola, because the ambassador to the United States from Angola was one of my first clients, and he and his team hired me. Ambassador Dos Santos, Joaquim Dos Santos, hired me to produce the red carpet and video program for their 400th commemoration of the first Angolans coming to the United States, which was in 2019. Because the first Africans to arrive in the U.S., which basically started the whole slave trade, were Angolans in 1619, and they landed in Virginia. And in Angola, in their Museum of Slavery, they have those records. And so it was a big deal. This was my biggest client, my first client, and I just dove in head first and didn't really know what type of ride I was on, but it was monumental. I created a video for them. I did a package where I was also the MC of their event. And then they said, "Oh, can you write the press release and do press around this too?" I said, "Sure." And I was in business, but I started that business first. And then I had another amazing client come to me. Shout out to the Executive Leadership Council. They train African American managers and executives at Fortune 500 companies all over the US. They hired me to produce their red carpet. And also, I would come with a cameraman that I hired from my professional TV experience. I would edit stories and work with their executives to produce a narrative around their annual recognition gala. And they also hired me before the pandemic, and I'm proud to say they are still a client because they have this event every year. Outside of the years where everything was virtual and nothing was in person, I've been working with them. And so it's the idea of, I realize that I have skills as a storyteller that are transferable, and no company has the power to take that away from me. And once I figured that out, that's when I became a successful business owner, right? So a lot of people, and myself included, you grow up and you think, I want to work for X, right? If you want to work in TV, maybe you want to work for NBC or CBS or ABC. That's what we grow up thinking. But I think a more liberated approach is to say, I want to grow up and do X.
And then your goal isn't tied to an organization who may or may not accept you, embrace you, grow you, advance you. So that dawned on me after my 4th year at a local TV station. I just thought, whether I have this TV show host title, whether I'm a part of this organization or not, I have these skills. And doggone it, I went and registered my website. I launched a streaming channel. I stayed up like past midnight for 24 hours figuring out how to launch a streaming channel on Roku and Amazon Fire. And once I made that decision, the clients came to me word of mouth. Out of no way, a way was made. Just like they say, out of no way, a way was made. But it was a mindset shift, Jewel. It was me realizing that, it's just real. We all have to change our minds. I just say, I'm a little bit spiritual, a little bit activisty. And I would just say the new civil rights movement, for everyone listening, the new civil rights movement is entrepreneurship. Once we can free ourselves, truly free ourselves, where you're not financially dependent on a corporation, then you're liberated. And that is what drives me. I want to be liberated to use my talents to their fullest potential without anyone being able to flip a switch and try to dim my light by pushing me out or not advancing me.
And on that note, Markette Sheppard. Markette Sheppard, thank you again for coming on So Booking Cool. Ninja Nate, as well as What is Light and Rainy Day Rocket Ship are available wherever books are sold. But please let everyone know how they can keep up with you and the wonderful work that you're doing. And also let us know about any other upcoming projects.
Absolutely. Well, you can always keep up with me online. That's where I'm 24/7 worldwide. All of my social media is at Markette Sheppard. My website is www.markettesheppard.com. And Jewel, right now, I just want to thank you because I am 7 hours ahead of you. I am joining you from Venice, Italy, where I made a little makeshift studio. It's 1 a.m. in the morning here. So I made a makeshift studio with the sheets from my hotel room so we could have good sound. And I did that because I'm driven. And I said, I don't care what time it is, wherever I'm at in the world, I am joining So Booking Cool. And if I got to make a little pitch tent studio to join this podcast, I'm going to do it because I am so thankful for people like you, for you in particular, for bringing all of our stories to the people in the masses and taking the time to give me a platform to share my passion. So I just want to thank you for letting me join, off camera from my little makeshift studio. And if people go online right now to my Facebook, you'll see the pictures of me in the daylight in Venice. But whenever you call, Jewel, or whenever you'll have me on your platform, I'm going to make sure that I join no matter what hour of the day. I'm going to be there. So thank you.
Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you as well. You're very welcome. And you can come on So Booking Cool anytime. Love having you. Like, you're just a pleasure to have. And you're definitely a part of the So Booking Cool fam. And if I had no idea that it would be that time for you.
No, it's okay.
Worked it out and see what I could have done.
No,
but
you know what's funny? When we set the interview time, I wasn't going to Italy, and a work project came up. It's actually quite amazing. I can tell you a little bit about it. It came up really fast. So when we set the interview time, I had no plans of going to Italy. That changed. I'm working on a short film project with Queen Latifah's Queen Collective and a women's empowerment organization that I belong to called Vital Voices. And I can't say much more about it right now, except for that is my next big project. And when you have an opportunity to hop on a plane and go work with Queen Latifah's producers, and you do it. And so that's what I'm doing right now.
Congratulations. That is phenomenal. Look at that.
Thank you. More to come, but again,
Yes.
follow my social media and you'll see more about it in the coming months in the fall.
Oh, wow. And so how's it going so far? It's going well, I take
It's
it?
amazing. It's amazing. And just like with any job, the people are everything. And I've been working with some amazing people, some amazing, talented female filmmakers, some amazing and talented executives on all sides, all fronts, Vital Voices and Queen Collective. And so in October, we are going to be premiering a short film that we shot, wrote, and produced here in Venice, Italy.
Okay, well, we got to talk about that at some point. We have to.
Yeah, all I can say is more to come, pictures, press release, all of that stuff. More to come, and please follow me at Markette Sheppard on all the socials, and you'll be the first to know.
Okay. All right. I'm looking out for that. Wow. Look at that. This is just awesome. Yes, Markette.
Yes, it's crazy. Life is crazy, and I never know where I'm going to end up. So, but I'm always committed to my commitments. I just, so I'm never going to cancel or change. And so we set the time, and it was up to me to honor that, because your schedule is important. And so I just said, I'm going to honor this. I'm going to make sure, my middle of the night, your normal evening time, it's going to happen. I'm going to get on So Book and Cool.
Woo. Wow. I just, I'm so happy, so happy for what you've accomplished and to get those lovely words from you and everything. And you've done a lot. And like you said, there's more for you to do. You're only just getting started. Just keep it up.
Thank you.
And you can feel the love and the warmth that you have, like when speaking with you in your books, like everything that you touch, you could just feel that. And your determination and your drive is also a wonderful example too. Yeah.
Oh, thank
Very
you. That means
inspiring.
the world to me. Oh, thank you. The intention, that is the intention, and it's there. And I hope people can feel it. I want to leave people better off and happier than when I find them. And if they pick up one of my books, never having met me, and they do feel better or they have a brighter outlook, that's the goal. And I'm happy. And maybe that's why I'm on this earth.
And thank you also to the viewers, the listeners. Until next time, So Book and Cool.